Hello, social media interested folks. Are you looking for knowledge on how to do social media at its best? My tip for you, learn from the best and meet them. Chat with the community and learn from each other. Check out Social Media Marketing World and book early to save money for the very best social media conference worldwide.
Hey everybody, it's Jay Baer from Convince and Convert, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, Mr. Arnie Ken from Vertical Measures, who is also the author of the fantastic new book. It looks exactly like this. It is called Accelerate. Move your business forward through the convergence of search, social, and content marketing. Arnie, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing great. I think we should end right there.
That's it. We're done. We're done. Thank you. Drive safely. How's the book doing?
I think it's doing pretty well. We came out of the gate with a pretty big promotion and managed to get ranked number one in our category the first week. It's dipped a little bit since then, which is expected, but we're out promoting it, and I'm out speaking, and I'm sure the sales will stay smooth.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. I know that it's not an easy task putting it together, and marketing's not easy, so good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know you know it full well.
I do. So the book is interesting because it really is one of the first books that really talks very specifically about sort of the holy trinity of search and content and social and how they really work together, right? It's a three-legged stool. You can't really work without all of them. Tell me about that a little bit and sort of how you got to that point.
Well, it's probably too long a story for this interview how I got to it, but basically, I think it's the evolution of our company, Vertical Measures. We used to be primarily an SEO link building company, and found that it was pretty hard for us to do SEO and link building for sites that had really bad content, generic content, and so on. So we ended up writing and creating a lot of content for our clients, and just one thing led to another. And of course, Facebook exploded a couple of years ago, and Twitter, and now Google Plus, and it's gotten much easier to promote the content and use social media. So we were talking around here over the last year or so, and just kind of the phrase, the convergence of search, social, and content marketing came together. And somebody here, I'll give a shout out to Patty Adams, suggested I work on a book about all of that, and I said no. Can't possibly do that.
I was going to say, you still like her after she suggested you to write a book? That's impressive.
Right, exactly. She still works here. But anyway, and a year later, we have a book. So.
Good for you. That's fantastic. One of the things that I really appreciate about your book is that you're very upfront about the notion that while companies need to create content, it can't only be about themselves, right? You can't just talk about your company and what you're doing over and over because you're only so interesting, right? There's a limit to what people will support. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the line I use a lot is it's not about you as the vendor, as the company. It's not about you; it's about your customer. And I think when I'm out speaking, what I try to remind people of is to think about when they're online and when they're on Google, Facebook, whatever the platform is, and they're out searching for information. How are they searching? What are they looking for? And it's generally not to find out what company has won the most awards or has the most employees. But you're trying to find solutions to your problems. You're trying to find information, things that are going to help you decide to make that purchase or investigate whatever service a little bit further. And that's what I think people need to keep in mind when they're creating the content. Is keep that searcher in mind, not all the hardware a company might have won.
When we talk about content, I think most people naturally go to the place of a written web page, right? I think most people think about that as content in our world. But there's a lot of other places within your website that you can make a difference in terms of what you say and how you say it. One of the great examples that you use in the book is on e-commerce pages, that you can have a regular, here's a product profile page, a product detail page, or you can really use that as an opportunity to tell a story. And I think Zappos is one of the examples that you use in the book.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think Zappos, REI, Amazon, of course, are some really good examples. I realize they're big companies, and people naturally assume they have the resources to do this. But I feel like if you're in e-commerce, and whether you have 100 products to sell or 10,000 products to sell, you do need to set aside and maybe just have to put it into a calendar or whatever and tackle what you can tackle. If you can tackle 10 product pages a month and really improve them by maybe adding user-generated content, in the form of reviews or comments or feedback. Video, if you could, a how-to video, how to install this or how to size this or whatever. But whatever you can do to, again, help your customer, your potential customer, feel very comfortable with making this purchase, I think that's what you should focus on. What I see it happen a lot, and we've all seen this, is where maybe you're representing somebody else's product and they give you a data feed and you just implement that data feed like 1,000 other sites did.
Yeah.
You really gain no advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned video in that answer as well. I'm a big believer in video content, obviously.
Good, right.
And I think you are as well, right? You counsel your clients at Vertical Measures to create video content, and I think you make some video content for your clients. Do you think that makes a lot of sense for most companies and will continue to be a good tactic?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to sound silly to say I really believe in content for search, and this is the year of content, or this is the year of video. Right?
It's always the year of video. They always say that. And mobile. It's always the year of video and the year of mobile.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Always.
But I don't remember where I saw this. It was within the last few weeks. Nowadays you see bits and pieces everywhere. But I did confirm this when I was actually speaking the other day in San Diego. Somebody else saw the same data, that a video, so theoretically, if a video is optimized and done well compared to any other piece of content, the odds of it showing up in the Google search results are 53 times greater than another piece of content. So that says something really, really powerful right there.
It may be the year of the video or the year of mobile, but it seems like it's also the year or the couple of years of infographics, right? I mean, everybody got themselves an infographic all of a sudden. Like, right, I don't remember infographics being this crazy, a while back. And you guys do a lot of search optimization. It must work, right? Or people wouldn't be doing it.
Well, it does work. I think people like, similar to the reasons they like video, infographics, a nice, relatively short piece of content. Sometimes they get pretty large, but a nice snapshot and a nice, easy way to digest content. So therefore, they gather links, which is pretty important for SEO, and the content gets spread. So sometimes it can be a pretty good viral thing. I will say, this is just strictly my opinion, I think it's getting a little bit oversaturated, just like everything. We tend to exploit things as internet marketers that seem to be working well. Our last year to this year, us placing infographic content has gotten a lot more difficult than from last year to this year. So I think that would be a sign it's getting a little bit oversaturated. But it's still, if it's done well, it can still be really, really good content.
Fantastic. Yeah, some of them, I feel like, it's a graphic, but it's not necessarily info, right? I mean, that it just gets a little bit, doesn't really convey that much, and right. So it's just a little bit lame. And obviously there are other design considerations as well. Sometimes they're really, artfully done and really pretty and cool, and other times it's not as good. And that's, I guess, like anything else, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you create a good piece that doesn't have those two detractors, then hopefully it'll engage and work for people. If it doesn't have data, like you mentioned, or any info in the graphic, then it's probably not going to work.
You talked about infographics being somewhat easier, at least in the last couple of years, to get people to link to. One of the things I love about your book is this notion of link attraction versus link building. Can you talk about the differences there and why they're important for companies?
Yeah, and that's actually been quite an evolution at Vertical Measures. As I mentioned earlier, our roots pretty much are a link building SEO company. And 5-6 years ago, link building was much, much easier than it is today. And we could reach out and just talk to people about maybe not necessarily link exchanges, but here's an interesting site, and I see you link to others, and maybe you would link to this one, and we could get yeses pretty frequently, or where there's other ways to go out and get links. Today, it's much more difficult. Webmasters, website owners are much more savvy. They understand the value of links. And so, we've been kind of on this theme for the last, 18 months, 2 years, and trying to get our clients to understand it's really about link attraction. And the whole idea of link attraction is like we talked about with infographics, videos, top 10 lists still work really, really well, but producing something, taking the time, not just throwing something out there to throw something out there, but just taking the time to produce a really nice piece of content that people will want to link to as a part of their whole editorial process on their end.
And in that case, do you actually approach sites and say, will you link to this infographic or this piece of content, or do those links just occur naturally through social?
Well, both. It depends on our client and how difficult or competitive that keyword phrase or marketplace might be. Some do hire us where we go out and we're contacting websites based on our research and pointing out this piece of content and hoping they'll link to it. But the majority of what we're doing is more even traditional kind of press that used to do way back when print and radio and all that was real popular.
Yeah,
letting the bloggers and press know about maybe a really neat piece of content. Or certainly we're using social media now that it's, it wasn't really a tool to be used 3 years ago, but now there's whatever it is, 700, 800 Facebook users and how many millions of Twitter users and G Plus and all that. We're using those channels to let people know about interesting content.
It's funny, as you said, social wasn't even an option back, years ago when I started doing SEO and things like that. And now in some ways it's harder and in some ways it's easier. When you think about the holy trinity of search and social and content, what I find is that companies say, okay, I believe you. I believe you that these three things work together and that these three things are important. Tell me which of these things we should do first. How do you answer that question?
Yeah, that's a good one. What's the reality is probably everybody's jumped into social first.
Because it's fun, it's so fun.
It's fun and it's easy, and
Twitter's free. It's all free. Social media is free, right? Twitter's free, Facebook's free. It's all free.
Right, but if I had my druthers and totally clean slate, I would say you've got to get your content squared away first. Even if it means creating 3, 4, 5, 10 really rock solid pages, rock solid pieces of content on your site, so that you have something to go out and promote and direct people towards. That's what I would do.
Hello there, social media specialists. Are you searching for input on how to do social media at its best? Well, my tip to you is to learn from the best and meet them when you can. Check out Social Media Marketing World 2017 and book early to save money for a hotel, flights, booking, and even tickets. That's right. See you soon at the very best social media conference worldwide.